Good afternoon and welcome to the Lunchroom on Radio Caribbean International. It is Monday, it's December the 4th, 2023, and this is program number 1106 of the Lunchroom. I'm your host, Calix George Jr. In addition to 101.1 FM radio, you can get us at our website, rcistlucia.com, and we're also streaming on our YouTube feed. Of course, that is very easily found. Just search for Radio Caribbean International, and of course, subscribe to that page as well, please, and thanks. The number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. And you can also message in via WhatsApp number. That number is 724-0008. You can call in or message in to that WhatsApp number. Again, it is 724-0008. Now, some birthday greetings for today. For December the 4th, going out to Miss Merlin Snack. Happy birthday to you, Merlin, and we do hope that you're having a fantastic birthday celebration. Do enjoy it to the fullest. And also celebrating her birthday today, Mrs. Barbara Raymond Antoine. Happy birthday to you, Barbara, and we do hope that you're having a very blessed and happy special day. And for all those who are celebrating their birthdays today, you'll be celebrating it as well with American rapper Sean Carter, better known as Jay-Z. He turns 54 today, as well as American actress and supermodel Tyra Banks, who's now 50. Bit of history for today. In the year 1534, the Ottoman Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent occupied the city of Baghdad in modern-day Iraq. 1563, on this day, the Council of Trent held its last session after 18 years. And that was, in fact, the last ecumenical council for more than 300 years. Ecumenical councils, those are councils of the church. In the year 1619, 38 colonists from Berkeley Parish in England disembarked in Virginia and gave thanks to God, considered by many the first Thanksgiving in the Americas. 1791, on this day, Britain's Observer was first published. In fact, it was the oldest Sunday newspaper in the world at that time. In 1829, the United Kingdom outlawed sutti in India. And that was a Hindu practice where a widow burnt herself to death on her husband's funeral pyre. In 1918, United States President Woodrow Wilson sailed for Versailles to be part of that peace conference that was happening in France after World War I. And in 2018, on this day, research published in Nature and Science magazines, they claimed that Native Americans had just one migration from Siberia into the Americas, into the New World, and that happened at most 23,000 years ago. We now move on to our dish of the day. The Daily Dish is brought to you the kind compliments of our good friends at Tiles Plus.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. There's all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down to my nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bossage, Grosile, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
Serving now, the Daily Dish.
And welcome back to our program for this brand new week. We do hope that you're having a good one and a blessed one. Of course, lots of people are gearing up for Christmas and the festivities, and already we can see that it certainly is becoming quite a vibrant time of year, and certainly a very vibrant time for our creatives who are out in full force, certainly providing wonderful inspiration and entertainment to the nation. I think, in fact, just last week, had the privilege of attending what was called L'Amitié, and that was a production put on by the National Schools Combined Choir, an initiative that has taken form over the past couple of years. A sort of a resurgence of certainly efforts that have been made in the past to have these choral groups come forward. And certainly, especially around Christmas time, we can think back to the efforts by gentlemen like Mr. John Bailey of the St. Lucia School of Music, putting on concerts like Bel Canto. And this effort, of course, being spearheaded by the principal coordinator, Mr. Robert Rennie, is certainly a remarkable one. And kudos to all the young people and their support groups who have come together to put on these really wonderful presentations. And I think there were two shows for that one, and it was first the adult show, if you want to call it that, or the nighttime performance, which had been put on at the National Cultural Center last week Thursday, and there was also a performance, a matinee, a daytime show rather, for school children. And it was certainly worth every single dollar. In fact, one can easily say it was worth far more than what one would have paid for entry into that event. I think tickets were just about $40. And really, it was two shows in one. A very wonderful production of a play which had been written by Mr. Rennie, which really captured a lot of issues that are still current and present in St. Lucia, even though the setting for that play was back in 1834, at around the time of emancipation, and it was looking at the issues of race and prejudice and the issues of discrimination on the basis of language, and how many individuals were suppressed through removal of their culture and suppression of their culture. And it really looked at that aspect, but it also did it in such a wonderful, creative way by utilizing music, and a lot of traditional music, certainly music from other plays that had been done in the past, by, of course, Mr. Roderick Walcott of blessed memory, and a number of his pieces that came out of Chanson Marianne and Estefan, the Banjo Man. And there were a lot of these pieces that came out, as well as, of course, music coming out of the Flower Festival traditions. And each act, each scene took on a different form, looking at some of these various issues. And it was very well gelled together in a sort of a seamless story, really looking at the history and challenges of St. Lucian identity, and how these things have shifted. But it was also very contemporary. It had some wonderful contemporary music as well, inclusive of solo music and other calypsos that are out there, and even some Jamaican music, dancehall music came into the flair, and really wonderfully put together with a live band, and of course the wonderful singing. It was really a wonderful musical. And if that was not enough, that was just the first half. And there was still, after that, the performance, the actual choral orchestra, the choral choir coming together to put on another wonderful medley of songs, of hymns, of music from Africa, from different parts of the world. It really was a fantastic evening, and one can say it was one of many, because even after that, others who would have had the opportunity to go and enjoy at the Sandals Grand, another wonderful production put on by none other than Mr. Boo Hinkson, one of St. Lucia's most renowned musicians, and of course Mr. Hinkson Boo has a way of, he's not just about himself. And of course, his music alone would have been, no doubt, more than enough for the night. But he always introduces and gives a platform for the young and up and coming artists, musicians who are not known by many, and letting us realize that there's talent in every single part of St. Lucia. Amazing stories of violinists coming out of Choiseul and saxophonists coming out of Ancillary, and certainly giving them that platform and an amazing opportunity to be able to showcase their work is very much worthy of accolade, and again another opportunity for enjoyment of some wonderful, wonderful stuff. Also happening over the weekend, a number of different concerts were put on. There was a youth panorama which occurred at the Mindu Phillip Park. I didn't even actually know about it. It just so happened to have been driving by and I heard some pan, and I was wondering how is it possible I could be hearing Diamond Steel from this distance at this time of year, and it was actually coming from the Mindu Phillip Park, and certainly it seemed to have had a good showing, and kudos to the organizers for this youth Festival of Pan. Certainly, again, really important to give these outlets to our young people so that they can show really and truly that there's far more good coming out of our youth than bad. And quite often, you look at the news and you hear the sad stories, but there is some really wondrous work, marvelous work being put on by young people all around St. Lucia. And as well, over the weekend, I think there was a concert that had been put on by the Good Shepherd Church in Babonneau. They put on their music concert as well. And I think there was also another one at the Royalton, that one entitled El Canto. And so I'm sure it was a wonderful event, although I haven't actually heard much of it as yet, but I'm sure it was certainly something that lots of people went out and enjoyed. And there will be many others to come. My understanding is that venues such as the National Cultural Center are solidly booked, and that is certainly a very good sign. Let's hope that we can continue to see that, and let's also hope that we have not given up hope to ensure that there are decent venues for performance, for sharing of these wonderful opportunities, and giving appropriate platforms for these individuals to be able to perform. And so the dream of having a proper national cultural center is one we need to keep very much within our eyes and our eyesight, because it's been long in coming. We can recall that the National Cultural Center, as we have it right now at Barnard Hill, was in fact just a temporary structure that had been put up through the assistance of the French government, I think back in the early 1980s. And that temporary structure has been around now for over 40 years. And it certainly has played its part, yes, but certainly we have outgrown it. And you're seeing, of course, we're moving from one tent to another tent, which is the case of what we're witnessing up at the pavilion, as it's now being called, at Rodney Bay. Again, just another tent, but to have a permanent home for our artists, for our dramatists, our musicians, a space that is befitting of them, and not just for the pure performances, but certainly a place of learning and training and development for the dance, for music, for every single art that St. Lucians are pursuing, I think is very, very much in order. And so let's hope that that is not dropped at all from the radar. In terms of some bittersweet news, I suppose you could say. And that is a very long-standing matter. Excuse me. The matter of Valinda Joseph. And that name has certainly been within the knowledge and realm of many St. Lucians for well over 2 decades. And unfortunately, she has become a martyr, if anything else, in terms of the search for justice. A very, very unfortunate situation which had transpired clearly one morning in the relatively quiet community of Saltibus in the quarter of Labrie in the constituency of Choiseul, where a 12-year-old who was merely heading to try to get her outfit, her school uniform, hemmed or mended by a seamstress, seems to have walked her last walk. And what is very stunning about this entire matter is that it caused quite a lot of outrage at the time when it actually happened back on the 2nd of December 2002. And it seemed very quickly that action was being taken in the matter. Police investigations were ongoing. Eventually, of course, the body of Valinda was found, brutalized and of course lifeless. And eventually, 2 years later on, less than 2 years really, by April of 2004, there was in fact an arrest in the matter. And the arrest was that of her stepfather, Mr. Eugene St. Romain. And this individual, in fact, spent a number of years on remand. Eventually, as a result of not having the case heard for many, many years, he was able to be granted bail through a constitutional motion which had been brought up, and he was granted bail in 2013. And so over 10 years now, finally, we're seeing a judgment, and that judgment came out of the Naira Court building late Friday afternoon. And of course, certainly to the I suppose you could say at least to the satisfaction of individuals who have been waiting for such a long time for justice in this matter. The jury came back with a unanimous verdict, as of course is necessary in such matters, and he was found guilty, and guilty of the murder of Valinda Joseph. As to, of course, why this entire matter took so long is certainly beyond us, and it certainly does paint the issue of justice in St. Lucia in a potentially bad light, that it has taken over 20 years, over 2 decades, for a judgment, for a conviction in this situation, in this matter. And given that the evidence, which seems to be very important in the matter of the case, that of the DNA evidence, that of the forensic investigation and what was found, that clearly must have been known for some time. But it is unfortunate that we're seeing, after such a long time, that that justice is finally being served. But thankfully, it has been served, and in this instance. And we hope that, of course, this cannot be the norm. You know, as it is right now, with the number of homicides that we're hearing about, it just is unfathomable that they should be ever taking such an extraordinary long period of time. Of course, there have been some advances, and let's hope that these advances in our police investigations and the capacity of our forensic laboratory, which of course has now been identified as a center of excellence for the region for the forensic sciences. Let's hope that it means that we can get quicker investigation, get more accurate investigation, that it's being done with everything in order, that you're reducing on these opportunities for loopholes, and so that it would hopefully mean that we can get quicker justice in this instance. But it is, of course, a very important message, regardless, that this individual has been found guilty, and it shows that at least, regardless of the time, that he in fact is going to, of course, pay the price for this heinous crime, which in fact the court has deemed that he has committed. So, of course, kudos to the efforts of the Crown Prosecution Service in keeping it going, and thankfully a verdict finally in this matter. Well, we're going to end here our dish of the day, and when we come back, of course, we're going to take in some calls and look at some other issues that have been topical and continue to be important for consideration at this time.
This has been The Daily Dish.
One tiles for your home, I see. Bathroom, kitchen, pantry. Need tiles for your balcony. Come down to Tiles Plus, satisfaction guarantee. Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus, Tiles Plus. Big tiles with unbeatable cost. Customer service, A+. Need all kind of tiles. Come down to Tiles Plus. We also got gasway and vanity. Books, doors, you'll see. Come down, don't mind nobody. We got the best tiles on island. Trust me. We are located Land Street in Castries, Bosses Jou Grizzly, and Slack Street in Beaufort. Telephone number 453-7939. Tiles Plus.
And welcome back to the Lunchroom at Radio Caribbean International. Of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate today, it is 452-3046, 452-3046. And you can also call in via our WhatsApp number. That is 724-0008. Again, 724-0008. Now, our Prime Minister was also over in Dubai, and quite a number of different events happening there. I suppose when you have such a major event such as the COP happening in one location, it sort of creates a whole ecosystem of various side events, if you want to think of it that way, and other world events happening with the knowledge that leaders were all there at the same time. And certainly it seems that the World Travel Awards certainly has taken that opportunity as well. Of course, the hosting of the COP in Dubai is coming on the heels of the Expo Dubai, and that in fact has been still being used as part of the venue for a number of these large scale events. Now, of course, the COP is the world's annual conference looking at how things are progressing on the matter of our response to climate change. And some are saying it's no longer climate change, it is a climate crisis. It's already here. We are already seeing the impacts of it, and we're already seeing what has happened since we've been warming our world as a result of the use of fossil fuels, be it coal, be it fuel, hydrocarbons such as gas, natural gas, or diesel, or other forms that are used, and it certainly has been having a major impact since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, well over 300 or so years ago. And it has only been quickening. It's only been getting faster and faster as a result of the growth of the world economy. More people are being brought out of poverty. More people want to enjoy the luxuries that are afforded. And a lot of these luxuries are coming from things that are highly carbon intensive. The items that we're enjoying in our homes have to be manufactured, and those manufacturing processes require energy, which quite often is driven by fossil fuels. The production of cement for our stronger homes and buildings, that is a highly carbon intensive activity, highly energy intensive, and that again generates lots of CO2 and other emission forms. Of course, the desire to travel, to go further away from for work and for enjoyment, for leisure, and the style of development since the automobile age, that has certainly caused a rapid increase in demand for fuel, for energy. And the same, of course, as we have globalized and have decided that we want to be able to travel to the ends of the world, that is coming at a very high price in terms of energy as well, whether it's on ships, whether it's our goods coming from thousands and thousands of miles away. All of those things are having an impact. And whether it's the clothes that we use, and we live in a society and a culture now where people want to wear an outfit to every new event that they're going to. And that, of course, is coming at a price. It means that the production systems to produce all of these materials, all of these things are taking up a fair amount of energy. And what we can certainly do, we should do in our part of the world. But that said, there are certainly some major players, major parts of the world where we are seeing tremendous amounts of demand for energy. And of course, as a result of that, they have an extraordinarily high impact in terms of the amount of CO2 and methane and other things that they are putting out into the atmosphere, which is, of course, is having an impact, a greenhouse heating effect that is causing the warming of our world. And, of course, the implications of that are we are seeing in terms of the weather, changes to the weather, changes to climate, changes to sea temperatures, and the list of things, potential sea level rise because of the melting of your ice caps. And all of that is very much real. And I think even though there have been many, many decades of denial that this was actually being caused by human beings, I think there is now that reality that, yes, we are the cause. We are the ones who are causing this to happen. We are the ones who are letting this effectively impact us negatively, and we are the ones who also have to fix it. And so it is within that context that the world has to come and act in accord. It has to act collectively to be able to ensure that there is a turnaround, that there is a shift. And unfortunately, we've seen far too many times, meeting after meeting, year after year, lots of commitments being made, but these commitments are not being kept. And the way this system works is that there are these what are known as nationally determined commitments, NDCs, and the state parties are expected to declare these commitments and to indicate, well, this is how we're going to cut back on how much carbon dioxide or methane we're letting out in our agricultural sector. This is how we're going to reduce and clean up the act in our transport sector or in our housing sector, or in how we generate electricity. And all of these commitments are supposed to cumulatively, in fact, try to slow down the rate at which we are effectively making our world sicker. And that, unfortunately, has not been going as well as we would have hoped. And this is, of course, of great concern to small island developing states like ours, where the impacts are perhaps proportionately far greater than other parts of the world. Well, our Prime Minister was speaking within that context at that UN climate meeting over in Dubai. So let's take a listen to his presentation.
Madam President, the world is in an uncharted territory. There is but a narrowing window of opportunity to secure a livable planet for all. With the climate crisis raging around the world, affecting not only small island developing states like St. Lucia and the members of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, but developed countries as well, we are here to join hands together, uniting as a collective to take ambitious action with a sense of urgency to course correct. We are here to ensure that every party answers our call at this COP to put us on a pathway that does not further compromise the futures of not only our particularly vulnerable nations, but all of our nations. The impacts have been devastating to our region. Loss and damage have struck at the core of our economies and our societies. At one extreme, lives and livelihoods have been lost. At the other extreme, our environment is under siege. We welcome the decision to at last make the loss and damage fund functional and look forward to the pledges to make it a reality. We thank the UAE and Germany for taking the first step and look forward to other states joining. Madam President, it is a fact that the international financial environment is ill-suited to support vulnerable countries' access to affordable, sustainable, predictable, and scalable finance. To address these financial challenges, CARICOM states, including St. Lucia, are pursuing readiness projects to better access finance. We are also pursuing innovative financial initiatives from conservation bonds to disaster clauses and exploring new opportunities in carbon markets. We are pushing for a reform agenda for international financial institutions through the Bridgestone Initiative and other new economic measurements that will include our vulnerability, like the CDB's Recovery Duration Adjustment, the RDA. Mr. President, Madam President, we are nearing the 1.5 degrees centigrade warning threshold, and we must put people first before economic ratios and statistics. We must leave Dubai assured of three key messages. We leaders must commit to 1, pursuing 1.5 degrees centigrade pathways for just, equitable, and accelerated transition. 2, accelerate progress in implementation of the global goal on adaptation. Deliver transformative finance for a 1.5 degrees centigrade agenda. The time is now for world leaders to transform our world to a safer place for our children. And in this battle, Taiwan must not be left behind. Mr. President, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. It's my pleasure.
And that there was our Prime Minister, Honorable Philip J. Pierce, speaking at the COP, which of course is still ongoing for a couple of days to come, I think up until the 12th of this month. And of course, a number of different levels of engagement, of course, at the high level with world leaders, but certainly there are thousands and thousands of people part of this at different levels in terms of negotiation, in terms of the side events. And of course, it is always the challenge that small island developing states and regions like ours have in dealing with these types of large-scale global events, whereas the United States is probably coming with a good couple hundred or so experts and different areas. And of course, we have much more challenge in this regard for obvious reasons. And so we have to be able to, in terms of our efforts at ensuring that the plight of small island developing states are certainly not forgotten. Now, we're due for our break for our weather. So we're going to take that in at this time. And when we come back, we will continue the conversation.
Make your home merry and bright with Island Style's massive Christmas sale. Our wide range of porcelain and ceramic tiles are on sale up to 50% off. And that's not all. Save up to 15% off. Bathrooms with bundle and save. The more you buy, the more you save on gorgeous bathroom vanities, bathtubs, faucets, shower glass, toilets, and more. Plus, contractors and tilers are in for a treat with our special discounts on tiling tools and accessories. Sale on now at all locations: Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfort, or call 450-452 or 453-TILE. It's time to deck the halls, deck the walls, or even deck the deck with huge Christmas savings only at Island Style.
This is Radio Caribbean International. It's now time for the weather news.
And that's of course, the 1.1. It's now time for your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bar. The forecast for St. Lucia valid for the next 24 hours. Winds will be blowing from the east near 21 miles per hour or 33 kilometers per hour. The weather fair and breezy, becoming cloudy at times with a few light showers. There is an advisory in here which reads small craft operators and sea beavers are advised to exercise caution due to brisk winds and locally rough seas. The forecast for the Lesser Antilles, fair to occasionally cloudy and breezy with widely scattered showers. And the weather summary. The Atlantic high pressure system will continue to generate moderate to brisk easterly winds across the Eastern Caribbean region for the next few days. Low-level clouds drifting along the wind flow will produce a few cloudy periods with light and moderate showers over the region during the next 24 hours. And this was your weather report as of 12 noon today, presented by Island Style Talent Bath.
This has been RCI's Weather News. For more information, call the Weather Hotline at 454-3452. RCI 101 number 1.
Make your home merry and bright with Island Style's massive Christmas sale. Our wide range of porcelain and ceramic tiles are on sale up to 50% off. And that's not all. Save up to 15% off. Bathrooms with bundle and save. The more you buy, the more you save on gorgeous bathroom vanities, bathtubs, faucets, shower glass, toilets, and more. Plus, contractors and tilers are in for a treat with our special discounts on tiling tools and accessories. Sale on now at all locations: Castries, Rodney Bay, and Viewfort. Or call 450-452 or 453-TILE. It's time to deck the halls, deck the walls, or even deck the deck with huge Christmas savings only at Island Style.
And welcome back to the lunchroom here at Radio Caribbean International. And of course, the number to call in to tell us what's on your plate, it is 452-3046. Again, 452-3046. Let's go to the phone lines at this time. Good afternoon and welcome to the lunchroom.
Mr. George?
How are you doing, sir?
How are you doing?
Not bad, thank you.
Madam, all right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I asked you to be madam before father now, eh?
I'm sure she'd be pleased with that.
Yeah?
I said I'm sure she'd be pleased with that.
Well, she's the future.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Carlos George is the president. He's still there.
Yes, indeed, indeed.
You know? But I listened to that excerpt from the Prime Minister speech there. What's new, man? Tell me what's so new about it, man. What's so different, man? What's so, would make the people listen to us, man? Just represent more numbers? More small countries get together? Yeah? I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking. Because I've been hearing from Kyoto, from before Kyoto.
Right. Rio. Mm-hmm.
Rio, all them places, these pledges on these kind of things. I mean, we even committed, we had our government at this thing, well, by 2015 we'll have, actually, have indicators, targets rather, that they would have liked to see in terms of renewable energy and so on and so forth. And so they like today, I don't know,
Well, we're definitely behind, and
like a septic, but it's not happening, Calix, and it's not going to happen. I mean, it would do us better to try and see how we could resolve that Guyana thing.
oh, caller, you're
and Venezuela thing.
we were coming to that, but
Because I mean, it's it's all about oil more than anything. Eh?
But do you think that there's anything really to be resolved there, or do you not think that it might just be a bit of grandstanding on the part of Venezuela at this point in time?
People go to war for less than that, people start up things less than that, So I would say, and we have Guyana is our brother, Venezuela is our power. You know Spawe, of course.
Yeah, Godfather.
Right. Venezuela is our godfather, Guyana is our brother.
Mm.
So, I mean, I don't know, that forces us to be in a situation there now. It's one or the other, but it needs to be, we have to take both into consideration and see how we could work it out. But, these things go on and on because this thing's been around for look how long these things started.
Right.
And Venezuela has, discovered oil, so much oil since that time, and enjoyed the oil prosperity and so
Well,
on.
I personally don't think that the Venezuela effort is anything more than just some internal politics at play. Right, on the part of Mr. Maduro. He, of course, is going to be facing an election soon.
So
And
to create something external
he needs some kind of, he needs some kind of
things are going to good for him at home.
of hope. So he has to create some kind of hope for individuals so that they, something to keep the thoughts of the population going on another issue. I mean, let's face it, Venezuela already has the world's largest oil reserves. And they don't even need anything from Guyana or any other country at this point in time. Their issues are far deeper in that they can't even process the oil and gas that they have. They've,
Exactly.
I mean, so this is...
What,
Yeah, so I mean...
You want it to go, cause a big excitement over just, area just about St. Lucia size, not too much smaller.
Sorry, where's that? Where's the area?
Yeah?
You said an area the size of St. Lucia?
Almost. It's 160-something square kilometers, I think.
Where are you referring to?
Essequibo.
Oh, no, it's massive.
But so where I got these figures, boy?
Oh, no. Essequibo is almost 2/3 of the size of Guyana.
Maybe thousands.
Oh, yes, thousands. Yes, yeah.
I found that strange. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah, but it's I mean, and the thing about Essequibo too is that it's largely undeveloped. It's and some people have suggested that that's a deliberate strategy on the part of Guyana over the years. Although I personally think that it's just Guyana just has not had the resources to be able to actually even think about developing that region.
Guyana will have a little bit more capacity.
So now they'll have a little bit more capacity, but again, I mean, there's so much capacity in Guyana.
Because of what? Carbon?
Well, they'll have more resources, more money flowing in.
Because of what?
Because of the oil and gas, yeah. Because of what they've been able to, what they will be able to gain from royalties, from the oil and gas extraction.
Yeah, because of burning more carbon in the atmosphere.
Well, yeah. That's the reality, Cole.
No, that's the reality. So
Yep.
when we go and make these speeches and things, when we come home quietly, we have to face the reality and say, well, boy, you can't stymie. Guyana is not going every country, they want our oil fields anyway.
Oh, certainly. And I think what Guyana is also benefiting from the fact that Venezuela is, and I guess maybe that is part of the power play in Mr. Maduro's mind too, because Guyana is right there in the hemisphere, close to the U.S. It can, it's easy extraction, a short trip to Houston to refine. So for the U.S., it's a great opportunity to have oil and gas from Guyana, which they're no longer getting from Venezuela. So for them, for Venezuela seeing this, obviously, I suppose they want to shake up things a little bit with Guyana. I suppose in their from their perspective, it might perhaps put them in a situation where they could maybe negotiate something. I don't know if that's the thinking there. Diplomatically, maybe that's the approach, to hope that there could be some diplomatic overtures by the U.S. in this regard, to lighten up things for them. So,
Khalid, before I go, I want to commiserate with the family of Carissa, Dr. Carissa.
Carissa Etienne, the former head of PAHO.
Yeah.
Yes.
That lady devoted a lot of her life to this thing.
Certainly.
Yeah, I know that lady is really good,
Okay.
Jamaica.
From Jamaica. I see. Okay.
Because the Dominicans and St. Lucians have strong links.
Right. Yes.
Sorry. So that's where I really got to know her.
Mm-hmm.
Nice lady, very committed, and I'm sad to hear that,
Yeah, very, very untimely passing. And she certainly has made a contribution to the region.
We lost a real serious public servant there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Committed and devoted public servant in Carissa.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
You support what she was doing or not?
Well, I know, yes, of course. There were some people who would have, argued about this whole thing with WHO and PAHO and yes. But she certainly did make a Dominica very proud in terms of achievement and the extent to which she was going. She certainly put it another feather in their cap in terms of very sterling contributions around the world. So certainly kudos to her, and of course certainly a major loss to the region at this time. Yeah, definitely.
Anyway,
thanks for sharing with that, caller. And also our condolences as well to the family of Mr. Victor Marquis, who I understand, in fact, was buried. Well, his funeral was this morning, and so certainly, again, lots of contribution there of a gentleman, brilliant mind, who made his contribution in journalism. He was the editor of the Voice newspaper, one of the oldest newspapers in the region, since 1885. He wasn't around in 1885, of course, but he certainly in his time made a significant contribution. And he played his part as well in the politics of St. Lucia, being certainly a very avid member then of Mr. Compton's United Workers' Party. And so certainly, no doubt he'll be missed by many individuals whose minds he shaped with his humor and his intellect, and certainly he will be missed. So commiserations again to the family of the late Mr. Victor Marquis. Now, also coming out of Dominica, interesting enough, a very unfortunate story, this time involving two expats who were resident on island out of Canada, and who had made an investment in the south of Dominica, an eco resort. And of course, you know very well that Dominica is a very pristine land. It's one of those places people say that if Columbus were to have come back, he may very well recognize Dominica, as it has not changed that much. But it has been changing of late, and we've been seeing quite a lot of interest in ecotourism, and the developers of one such property called Colibri Ridge. Very unfortunate situation there, where both gentleman, the owner, and another colleague of his were found apparently killed as a result of what appears to be a land dispute. Again, allegations there that it may very well involve another expat landowner in the mix. So a very interesting developing story coming out of Dominica in this instance. But it will be a matter, of course, that we will discuss perhaps a little bit more in depth in the coming days. We were speaking about the issue of much of the same, and of course the challenges that islands like ours find ourselves in, and the regions like ours find ourselves in. And part of that is certainly in this whole process of negotiation, because many of these issues, whether it's the Paris Agreement, which was signed back in 2015 by countries, and quite often we see that the world comes together, we try to agree on a framework, on commitments, on something to do with climate change, and sometimes you will see the most important actor in the room doesn't sign on to the agreement, and they will indicate that, look, this is nice, you guys can sign it, but this is not in our interest. And we've seen many agreements come and go, and we for quite a while, in fact, the former colonies of Europe were grouped together under what was known as the ACP. That is the Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific regions. And that, of course, is where we saw quite a number of former colonies of the European Union. And in this agreement, in fact, there were many agreements before that to deal with matters of trade, and like the Lomé Agreement, like the Cotonou Agreement. And of late, there's been an effort to create a new one, a new such agreement to take forward the relationship between the European Union and this ACP, these ACP countries, for the next 2 decades. And so that has been dubbed the Samoa Agreement, and again named after the Pacific island of Samoa, where this signing was meant to be taking part. And just to very quickly share what has been termed this new agreement, this new partnership agreement between the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, the OACPS, and the EU. On 15 November 2023, the partnership between the European Union and its 27 member states and the 79 member states of the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, OACPS, was solidified with the signing of the Samoa Agreement in Apia, Samoa. The historic signing ceremony, a first to be held in the Pacific, was attended by more than 250 delegates from across the 4 continents. The EU and the ACP states represent over 1.5 billion people and more than half of the seats at the United Nations. The Honorable Fiame Naomi Matafa, Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade of the independent state of Samoa, welcomed the significant event and recalled the plethora of challenges the world faces that require collective solutions. Quote, We are weathering unprecedented times that calls for unity, solidarity, and the need for strengthened multilateralism, said Prime Minister Matafa. She added that the Samoa Agreement, quote, aims for a collective and united approach to address some of these challenges we are facing, from climate change, ocean governance, migration, health, to peace and security. The Samoa Agreement prioritizes human rights, democracy, and good governance, including gender equality and the rule of law. Social development and sustainable economic growth are and continue to be priorities, thus making the effective implementation of the Samoa Agreement key to ongoing efforts in building resilient environments and economies. Foreign Affairs and Cooperation Minister Benedito dos Santos Freitas of the Democratic Republic of Timor-Leste and interim co-president of the ACP-EU Council of Ministers emphasized the significance of the Samoa Agreement as a milestone in achieving cooperation, shared prosperity, and sustainable development. He acknowledged the dedication of all parties involved and their commitment to strengthening partnerships and strategic alliances. Secretary General George Rebelo Pinto Chikoti of the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States recalled that at the heart of the OACPS-EU Partnership Agreement lies the strong view that true development progress for our member states lies in our collaboration and collective efforts. He stressed the role of the Samoa Agreement in reinvigorating the long-standing partnerships between the OACPS and the EU, promoting sustainability and resilience. He commended all parties involved in the negotiation process and expressed the commitment of the OACPS Secretariat to supporting its members in implementing the agreement. The Samoa Agreement signifies the commitment of both the OACPS and the EU to addressing global challenges, promoting economic growth, and fostering sustainability. It underlines the importance of sustainable development and the responsible use and conservation of natural resources. With the implementation of the Samoa Agreement, the OACPS and the EU aim to create a future where positive changes, progress, and prosperity are realized for all nations. Professor the Honorable Robert Ducey, OACPS Chief Negotiator and Togolese Ministers for Foreign Affairs, welcomed the signing as a strong signal for the dedication of strengthening the OACPS-EU cooperation. He recalled the long process to the signing and stressed that the resilience of both parties to defend this agreement, that its implementation will provide mechanisms to advance the ideals of shared development while working together to promote international peace and security, amongst others. And that is effectively the press release that came out on November the 15th on the OACPS, the Organization of Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific States Secretariat website. But it's not as simple as that. And of course, many times these agreements are hundreds of pages, and sometimes you find that certain provisions within there may not really be just about trade and development. And we got a sense of that because you heard mentions of the issues of gender equality and the matter of democracy. Well, this has seemed to have caused a bit of a concern, particularly among some Caribbean countries, over the matter of some of the provisions that are within this Samoa Agreement as it relates to gender equality. And it has, in fact, caused for quite a number of Caribbean countries not to sign the agreement, and certainly some have taken the position that they're certainly not going to sign them at all. And this story, now coming from the Dominican News Online from last week, Thursday, reads as follows. The recently penned Samoa Agreement, which will govern trade and aid arrangements between Europe and its former colonies in Africa, the Caribbean, and the Pacific, or the ACP, for the next 20 years has divided the Caribbean, with some countries either signing onto it or showing willingness to sign, while others have not. The agreement has raised concerns, especially in the Roman Catholic Church, that it will be used by the European Union, the EU, to impose values and ideologies that are contrary to Caribbean culture and traditions. Roman Catholic Archbishop of Port of Spain, Jason Gordon, has criticized it, saying that while it is written as a trade agreement, anyone who signs the agreement will have abortion legislation in their countries. They will have to impose abortion legislation, transgender, LGBTQ, comprehensive sex education, and a whole range of values because of the signing of that document. St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Barbados have already signed, while Dominica and Jamaica have said they will be doing so. Trinidad and Tobago, Antigua, St. Lucia, St. Kitts, the Bahamas, and Grenada have not signed. Grenada has made it clear there is no rush to subscribe to the agreement. Quote, Grenada for sure, we are not willing to surrender our sovereignty to any international organization, and if there is any part and proposed agreement inconsistent with our constitution and with our values, we will think very long and hard before entering into any such agreement. That country's Minister for Foreign Affairs, Trade and Export Development, Joseph Andel, said in a statement on Wednesday. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell believes that whether or not international accords exist, morality and values are shaped by the culture of every given country or region, and the morality of countries should not be imposed on others. As a result, quote, as a result, we must be cautious not to blur the line between private morality and law, he stated. And I firmly believe that from our perspective, the morality of other countries should not be forced on the morals of countries, nor should it be linked to help. He pointed out that this would imply that countries are attempting to impose their own moral or public policy on countries by attaching it to assistance or aid. And that story continues, and we will take it in perhaps tomorrow on our program here of the Lunchroom, because certainly it is a very interesting and ongoing matter regarding the whole matter of geopolitics and the trade and agreements and partnership between the European Union and the St. Lucia, of course, as well as CARICOM and the ACP region. But that's all the time we have today here at the Lunchroom, and we do hope to be back again, God willing, tomorrow for another program. Hope you can join us for that. I'm your host, Calix George Jr., saying goodbye.